everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. Today we are going to be working on a card that is kind of double purpose. I have my stamp camp tomorrow, and so I'm getting projects ready for them, and so I decided I would just make this one for them and make it for you, and then I'll kill two birds with one stone, and I can just pack this stuff up and I'll have one project ready because I still haven't gotten I haven't gotten anything unpacked from on stage, so I keep pulling things out. Like I took most of my adhesive and now a lot of them are open, and I took all of my scissors, and there's just a bunch of stuff that I took all of everything, and so I have to keep going back over and getting it out. Not the most efficient way to do it, but I got to get it done for camp tomorrow, so I knew that eventually I'd get to it. But this card is from the annual catalog. Almost everything I'm using. I'm going to show you a version at the end that has some new product on it, but I decided for camp to kind of revamp it. I made the original one yesterday when I was at my friend Tanya's, and the inspiration for the base of it did come from her. And so when she posts her big project that she did with this, I'll make sure to give you guys the link because it's fabulous and you'll want to see it. So I stole a bit of her idea, and it's so good. But if you're watching this and it's not yet the 18th of November, then you're joining me during our seasonal sale. And so I wanted to use things in this catalog because that's where the seasonal sale is. And as I'll kind of show you what I'm using. So for the stamps, I'm going to use Charming Sentiments. They're on page 38. All the stamps in here, except for the Hostess stamps, are 15% off until the 18th. So I'm going to use this. It does come with dies, and the dies are on sale. So normally when you purchase a bundle, which is the stamps and the dies, and you purchase them together, then you get 10% off. Don't purchase a bundle because right now this week you can save far more if you purchase them individually. So this is the Charming Sentiments. I'm using it for the words. I was going to make a New Year's card. I had so many ideas. I have 500 ideas in one day. So I had to smush as many things as I could. And I'll show you one of the things that I tried to make work and it wasn't working, and I don't have time to mess today. But this is fabulous. It's just straight up sentiments. So many sets in here that I still want that I may get at 15% off, but you need to get the ones that are on your list. Likewise, if you have somebody that's purchasing for you for Christmas and you want to send them a list real quick, I'm happy to walk your husband through a phone order, or your kids, or send them the link and I'll tell them what you want and I'll send it on your behalf. So I'm happy to do that for you. Then I'm going to use the bow punch. It is on page 153. All the punches are 10% off. I'm going to use the perfectly penciled paper. All of the paper that is not specialty, which means it doesn't have the gold or the metallics in it. So any non-specialty designer series paper is the paper's 20% off. This is perfectly penciled, and you can find it on page 133. Wait till you see what I do with this, and this was Tanya's idea, and you're going to have a packet of this. In fact, I love it so much that it may end up being my card club, but it's such a great base paper because it's black and white that even if it's card club next month and you buy a packet, you won't be sad. Then for the dies, this is really where I had a hard time. The dies are 20% off. So let's see. I think they're on page 170 because you need this. If you don't have tailor-made tags, you need that. If you don't have the scalloped contours, you need that. Excuse me. If you don't have the stitched rectangles, you need that. If you don't have the stylish shapes, there's so many just base must-have stamp sets. Like I don't even want to turn to a page. The layering circles, the picture this, the mini pocket. As I couldn't sleep last night, like all these, I'm like, which one should I use? So then I decided I was going to use Enchanting Details because I've had it for a hot minute and I haven't really used it. You'll see later, it cuts out this beautifully. Wouldn't that make a great New Year's card? That's where this whole card started. It did not end up anywhere near being a New Year's card. But these dies are so much fun, and I promise I'll use them. So if you purchase them and you're like, I don't know what to do with them, stay tuned. They'll make an appearance. This may end up being at December camp. And so then you guys will get to see it. But I did end up using, because again, I think these are a must-have, the fabulous frames. So I'm going to use these little pocket corners, which I haven't used on a card yet. Then I'm also going to use, because I told you, I think this is one I put in my email, deckled rectangles, must have. But I'm going to use the designer tags. I really could have used it all and used this. So if you have this, you don't need the punch, but I wanted to show you the punches are on sale, but dies are 20% off. So if you have a die cut machine, this little bow could be used instead of the punch. But I'm going to use the tags out of this. This is a fabulous, and I've used it a lot. And then the folders are 20% off as well. So the papers, the dies, and the folders. Tell the people who buy for you for Christmas. I don't know where the folder page is. It's on page 177. I'm using the stripes and splatters. I'm going to use the stripe, and I'm going to have to be careful where I lay it because I used a dark color ink, and you can see it's still in there. It has to be washed, but I'm like, I can wash it while the video is downloading. So let's get going on the card. It was this pattern, and the reason I chose this pattern is because, like I said, I made the first one at Tanya's, and that's she had a piece of scrap, and you know, when you're stamping with your friends, you hate to use their new stuff. And then I pulled out these colors. There was really, you could do this with any colors, and the way it looks is so much fun that it's just really fun to kind of venture out. You could use all of the paper in this set by just doing this. So this is the dark parakeet. I'm going to use the brush tip, and I am just going to swirl over. Now, when you do this technique, you're not being artsy. It's kind of a contest on how fast you can go. There we go. And then I'm just going to go back and hit a couple of them. Actually, I'll use my brush tip. My bullet tip for this. Just so I can get a couple of them a little bit darker, and just random ones. So there's some that are darker, and I'm going to do the darker things that I do more to this side of the paper. So there is our parakeet. Now, with the flowers, take whatever colors you love. Or I wanted it to look kind of trendy vintage. You know, your great-grandma style, because that's kind of in. So colors that maybe if you were going for realistic flowers, it might not be, but works great for trendy vintage. So this is light polished pink. And I'm just going to kind of swirl. Again, you're not going for art, you're going for fast. And really, the faster you do it, the prettier it will look at the end. So I'm just kind of circling this around. Just kind of circle that around, go back and hit, because you know every layer of color that you get with a blend, you get a little bit different of a color. So we'll give this one a bunch of polished pink, then maybe right here. And if you want to take more time, obviously you can. Now let's go with dark pumpkin pie. Yep. And this time I'm just going to kind of get those centers of the flowers. Now I'm going to take my dark polished pink. Now let's do my dark daffodil. This has seen far better days, but it still works, which it's kind of nice that it's like this. I have another one. I have a nicer one. But when they get like this, then I can press hard with my brush tip and it doesn't matter, right? But it's a hot mess. Still works though, has ink in it. Now with the yellow, I want to leave some white on some flowers, but some of the places where I can get it where it's a little bit light, I'm just going to go in with that. Now, this is my very favorite part. You take the brush tip of whatever color you want your card to be now, and I'm just going to color all the white. And you just do it quickly. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't want to go on the top of your flowers. But it doesn't matter if you go on the stems. It doesn't matter if you go on your leaves. It doesn't matter if you get every last place colored in. It doesn't matter if they're streaky. Like, this is just about as carefree of a card as you could ever make. Now, while we're talking about catalogs, there's a couple of things. On December 1st, the retiring list and the last chance sale will start for the current holiday catalog, the one that we got in July. So be watching for that. I'll give you a heads up a couple of days before to remind you. So make sure you're on my email list. You can head to my website and there's a pop-up there if you haven't joined it. And then you can just fill in your information and then you'll always know what's going on. Then if you have made a purchase from me since June, then in early December, you will get your January catalog. My throat's scratchy today. It's probably from being tired, right? Or because it's completely freezing cold and I've been outside a lot. It's so cold and it keeps snowing. Like every day it's snowing and it's November. We went to see Aladdin on Broadway last night. Well, not in Broadway, but the traveling Broadway version. It was fabulous, but it was cold out and it was snowing both when we went in, but really snowing and really cold when we came out. But you will get, if you've purchased from me since June, then you'll automatically get a catalog. If you don't have somebody sending you a catalog and you are interested in getting one, I'm happy to send you your first copy free of charge. So just let me know. And I'm going to go back and just hit a couple of these because you can kind of see now the flowers pop with that purple background. And don't you love the variations of like sometimes when I went over the top? So let's just make some of these flowers even more beautiful. The reason I think that I might use this for Card Club in December, one, we can do this technique and it's fabulous. But, you know, January rolls around and if there's any time of the year, at least if you live in lots of parts of the country, that you have time to just sit and color, it would be the dead of winter, right? And you don't have to color this paper. There'd be other fun techniques that we can do with it. But I didn't really think about it being Card Club until I started doing this card. So I'm not 100% certain. It's always last year, whatever I chose, I remember, was in the holiday catalog, and then that sale hit, and it was gone. So I want to pick something from the annual catalog just to be safe. And just hit a couple of these again with this. See that this tip is fine. And then we'll get one more little stroke of some pumpkin pie. And not on all of them, just on some. And now all the flowers kind of have, see what I mean about that vintage, but they have a life of their own. But this is kind of a funky color combination, but so super pretty. So isn't this pretty? Like pretty, that's just beautifully pretty. But here's where the magic of this card comes in because we colored this side. And remember this side I was giving a little heavy on the color because when we flip it over, we've also colored that side because it's blends. It really is really hard to want to use both sides of this paper. So that's where I'm going to get the other one. See what we could do in Card Club? Isn't that fun? So much fun. So let's get to the rest of the card. It's almost done. This is really a coloring card. So we have, I'm going to use my mini because my other ones are still packed. So we're just going to go mini. But if you've ever thought about joining Stampin' Up! And being part of my team, stay tuned because in January there's a really cool offer with a new one of these. So I'm going to take some shimmer white and then I'm going to take some of the brush metallic. This may be on back order, but it's due back in soon. And you could use gray. Where'd I put my dies? I took my glasses off to color and now I can't see. So this is the little photo corners that are a part of the fabulous frames. And then this is the tag that is out of the designer tags. So if you have this machine, the little tip is to you can't put everything on straight. I joke with my friends, that's why it's not hard for me to use because I'm always in a hurry and most of my stuff's not straight anyways. I'm going to take my tag. The nice thing about the mini is I can go from one thing to another. But these, aren't those fun? But I don't have to get my stuff all quite out of the way. So I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss and I'm going to stamp the wishing you everything is wonderful on the tag I just ran through, which you had a little preview of it in my folder. Now let's run this through the mini folder. Large folders are on sale too. I'm just using the mini, like I said, because my other stuff is not put up yet. But you can see the ink wasn't dry when I did it last time, and you can read that there. So I don't want that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to lay this right there, because this is not one of the folders that really has an up or down. And that way I'll clean my folder, but they'll both be on. This comes with the little gray plate. Just giving a little bit of texture to our tag, and you can see now I've stamped it 2 times in here. All of that we need. Then I have the bow punch, but if you had this, it has a die that's very similar to this. This we used in Card Club last month, you guys that had the mistletoe, because it's a great add-on for something super quick if you don't have a die cut machine, or if you just want to use something quick. In that, if I'd used just the Fabulous Frames, there wasn't a die in there. But I want my paper to be sparkly. This is basic gray. I'm not going to do anything else on the card sparkly. I thought about punching them out of the same thing I used just with the corners. But this kind of makes them look like they go together without being the same paper. I wanted the pewter corners to kind of stand out on their own. So we have those. Now we just have to put it together. Let's fold this in half. And then you're going to take and trim this. It doesn't matter. Obviously, you can trim wherever. So this was the side here where I put more color, so there'd be a little bit more color, but it doesn't even really make a difference. I thought maybe it would. I didn't do that the first time I made the card. The second time, where's my paper trimmer? So I'm going to put it in here so I can kind of see my front, and about 2 inches. So this is cut 4 by 5.5, so we'll have a little bit of overlap. So we'll give this 2 inches there. See what I mean? They're both so pretty, but you can flip that one over. But this has that. I like that, how that turned out, but we're gonna lose it. So I have this. Then let's get our scrap paper over here one more time. I'm gonna do the iridescent pearls. And I'm going to use 5. So let's color them wrong tip. I'll do 3 of the big. 2 of the big and 3 of the small, I think. I'm going to do these different colors than I did on my last one. Get the use out of having these blends on the table. Last time I just did 2 colors. This time I decided, why not do more? I don't know which I said I'd do 3 of. I'm going to do 3 bigs. Because the parakeet is so pretty on that. That'll give those just a second to dry. Then I'm going to take my bone folder. Smack a little bit of speckles on here. Let's do it in the parakeet and the blackberry. I'll get an up-close picture of all of this on my website, so hop over there after you're done watching the video and you can see the photos of it. Just stick it all together. I'm going to use my liquid glue because, like I said, most of my stuff is still put up. It was fun doing the demonstrator event that we did on Friday. We're gonna do another one in the spring, so stay tuned if you want to travel to Indiana just for a fun event in the spring. It'll be open to all demonstrators. We'll probably make kind of a short weekend out of it. But green glue, people love it or they hate it. There's not a whole lot of in between. Put this over here first. So you do have a second to pick it up. It's a little bit messier if you pick it up than it is if you use the seal. And you just want to line those up. Have those. And then I just like to take my bone folder and kind of burnish it on there. And that kind of, any glue that may be gobby, it takes it to the edge because I put a lot on there. So we have that. Is that not beautiful? And then let's take our little pewter corners. Now what I did last time was I took the 2 corners that didn't have flowers. Like there was no flowers on this one and no flowers on that one. And there were flowers on these corners. So I just picked those 2. You could do 4. You can save 2 of them. I'm just going to do 2. Who in the 80s was with me and thought you were so super cool because you used photo corners on your pictures to put them in, they weren't scrapbooks, in your photo album because you wanted to be like your grandparents. I think that was probably their version of kids now who play LPs or records as we call them, because I'm like, my daughter has a record player and I'm like, if you want, you can just play your music and I'll do the for you. Because once we didn't have to hear that noise or worry about scratching our music, it was a whole new ball game. But you know, the kids like it. It's retro. But my grandma was probably like, just tape the pictures in there. You have tape. You don't need the photo corners. But I used them. And then you know what happened? All my photos fell out. My giant scrapbook, again, not scrapbook as what we call them now, that has all of my pictures from when I lived in Scotland and Australia all put in with photo corners, and they all fell out. So now I have an album with pictures that sit inside on pages that all have photo corners. So you can put them back in, but you know, it loses 1 or 2 because the adhesive wasn't great. I'm going to take the parakeet ribbon, go ahead and tie a little bow. I must be missing my grandma. I am missing my grandma. It's Thanksgiving and I make her pie and my mom makes her stuffing. She wasn't a huge baker, but pumpkin pie, I was going to say it was her thing. She made fabulous pumpkin pie. And it was for my grandfather because he loved pumpkin pie. Grandma didn't love it so much, but she did make it. I like pumpkin pie. When we went to Cake Bake, you may have seen my photos. They had pumpkin pie there and I thought about getting it because here's the deal. Because my daughter's making a pumpkin cake. My sister makes a pumpkin roll. My mom makes the next best thing to Robert Redford. So we always have plenty of desserts. So everybody's like, you don't have to make the pumpkin pie. It's kind of the least, well, it's the most nostalgic. But it's probably the least like glamorous of the desserts that we will do. But I said, I don't want my pumpkin pie for for Thursday. I want it for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when we have the leftovers. And everybody ate all the other desserts and there's always some pumpkin pie left. Add that and then just go grab. I did get this out of my box because I was like, I'm not messing with those. I did the first time. So you can see I had to pull that off. Add our pearls. And I'm going to show you the one that I did that has some new product on it. Okay, I always used to use 3 because, you know, you want to use odd numbers. And then more than one person pointed it out at our thing. Well, I may have said it on stage. I don't have any idea what I said during our presentation. Like absolutely none. And it wasn't videoed. So I may have said it there. But I use 5 now because in a year, I want these gone. I don't want them still here in 5 years. They'll look much prettier to have 2 more of them on here than it will be have a card of these that is stacking up. So use 5. Go to 5. Then maybe in 2 years we'll switch to 7, and then maybe we'll start putting half the thing on your card. But it just 2 more really give it a little bit more of a wow factor. And there's no point in hoarding them. And there's a lot of these. There are 150. So I'm not going to do math right now. But if you put 5 out of 150, you'll have somebody do the math and put it in the comments. That how many cards can you make for that? So let's see. Here's the other one. That's the version of this one. So pretty, so much fun. And then here's the one that I did at my friend's house. So this one, the paper was cut a different size when I started, but you can see the dots. This dot background, it's on the back of the Blackberry, it's on the tag, and then it's on this piece of saffron here. And it is one of the background stamps that will be in the January catalog, as is I Didn't Forget Your Birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. That is an upcoming sentiment stamp, the one I demoed at on stage. So there you go. Remember, 10% off punches, 15% off stamps, and then 20% off your dies, your folders, and your paper. And then I always have thank you gifts with the host code. And if you purchase this week, you get bonus ones. So everybody, I will catch you back here later. Have a great one. Bye.